Hello and welcome everyone. In today's video, I am happy to share with you all top 3 traps in the London system. In our last video, we have seen a setup and we have seen what can we do from the various different openings. But in today's video, it is whole and soul focused on the main lines in the London system, the main lines after what black play and how we can trap him in the main line itself. So, without wasting time, let's get started. London system starts with we are having a general setup where we play our pawn to plays his pawn to d5, knight f3, knight f6. We play our bishop to f4, trying to get out of the pawn chain. Then we are going to play our pawn to c3 and pawn to e3. Here he plays his pawn to c5. We try to defend that pawn by playing our pawn to c3. Knight comes on the c6 square, and we can now start with the basic setup. This is our setup where we want our pieces to be. A general London system setup. Now the knight from b1 needs to go to d2 and the bishop to d3. Then the development of all the pieces is also completed. We want to castle on the next move and we are doing fantastically well in this position, right? Let's say here if the opponent plays his pawn to e6, you go with the knight to d2. Now bishop d6 is a common move here. They try to get rid of our bishop because the bishop is out of the pawn chain and it is very strong. Now we don't want to exchange the bishop. We'll come back with the bishop on the g3 square. Here he definitely don't want to capture on the g3 square with his bishop, because then you just open up the h file and the rook along this h file will be very strong. So what if he just castles? If he castles in this move, then we can go with our bishop to d3, completing the development. Here a normal move is to play the pawn to b6, right? If he plays his pawn to b6 in this position, trying to get the development of the bishop from the b7 square, then we are going to break through in the center, taking the advantage of this diagonal. Right now this diagonal is weak, right? He is planning to play his bishop on the b7 square. He has just moved his pawn to b6, weakening the square over here. So we are trying to break in the center by playing our pawn to e4. If he captures over here, then we are happy to recapture. But if he doesn't capture, then we are going to push it forward and it will be a double attack. If he captures this d pawn over here, doesn't make a difference. I'll quickly show you. If he captures the pawn on the d4 square, you give him an attack. He cannot even recapture over here because this attack will be still there. We are going to win one of his piece. So that is not a good choice. And if the opponent is a good player, he knows that on the next move you are going to give him a double attack by playing your pawn to e5. Let's say he simply captures your pawn on the e4 square. If he does that, then you are going to capture it by the knight and giving a double attack to this bishop. The bishop and the knight are attacking the bishop, and the queen is the only defender over here. So he'll get rid of that knight too. Let's say he captures on the e4 square with his knight. Then you recapture it with this bishop attacking this knight over here. Now, to defend it, he'll have to play his bishop to b7. And then after a few exchanges of the pawns, okay, you have exchanged this to put some more pressure along this diagonal. Now you go with your queen to a4. Look at the attacks that you're having on this knight. What can he do to defend it? Either he will have to play his rook or the queen on the c8 square. And in that position too, you're going to play a rook to d1. Let's see if he just try to exchange that bishop, thinking that this diagonal is kind of weak for him, and just let's exchange the light colored bishop with the opponent's bishop, and he goes with his knight to a5. In that position, you are first going to play a rook to d1. A normal standard move here is to play the queen to e7, but in this particular position that fails to the move rook to d7. He plays his rook to d7, attacks the queen and the bishop at the same time, right? So that fails to it. Okay, what if he plays his queen to e8 here? If he plays his queen to e8, then you are going for a fantastic attack, a Greek gift sacrifice. Play a bishop to h7, attack the king. Now you go with your queen to h4, attacking him. He definitely cannot come up because then it is going to be a checkmate soon. If he goes back on the g8 square, then you're going to play a knight to g5. There's nothing that he can do to defend this. He can at max try to prolong this attack by playing his bishop to e4. But in that position also, you're going to capture the bishop. This is going to be a checkmate. Even if he defends it with the bishop, you're going to be a piece up and piece and a pawn up. So this is a fantastic trap. This is a main line. That pawn to b6 is a main line. But how you can take advantage of it is interesting. Okay, let's come back to our normal setup. And let's say what if he's not playing his pawn to b6. Instead here he is playing his rook to e8 square. If he plays his rook on the e8 square, in that position, you can play a knight to e5 first. The idea for rook e8 was to push his pawn to e5. And to stop that, you have to go with your knight to e5. Now, he definitely cannot capture with the knight because then it will be a fork again with two of his pieces. So, what if he just goes with the bishop? Then you capture it with the pawn. The knight is under attack. Knight cannot come forward because your pieces are attacking all of those squares, so he'll have to go back. Let's say the knight goes back on the e5 square over here. Then in that position, what you can do is just sacrifice to the square. What if he is not capturing the bishop? What is not capturing it? Instead, he is playing his queen to c7. So the position was bad. The knight couldn't come up. He has to go back. So he is trying to defend that and is going with the queen to c7, trying to put some more pressure over here. In that position, you are going to play a pawn to f4, solidifying the knight over here. He can do nothing about it. If the knight now goes back on the d7 square, trying to attack this, and later his idea is to push the pawn forward on the f6 square, then this is the right time that you first give a Greek gift sacrifice. You play a bishop to h7. The king captures it, and now you go with your queen to h5. Give a check. The king goes back. You capture on the f7 square with a check. The king has to come up. If you want to do it with the tempo, then nothing like that. Just go queen g6, give him a check. The king goes anywhere. You capture the rook. Again, an intermediate check, and you're going to win this game. You are a rook up. You are a pawn up in this position, and the position is completely shatter for black. So you are going to win in this trap number 2. Now let's have a look. What if he's not going for the main line? He's not going for his bishop to d6. Instead here, what if he opts for bishop e7? If he goes for the move bishop e7, then also you are going to go normally bishop d3. The king castles over there and you go with the knight to e5. Now, idea is simple. You are not committing castle as of now because you want to give an attack by playing your pawn to h4 and h5 later in the position. So, you are trying to open some files, knight e5. If he doesn't capture, then you can get the other knight over here. And so, this knight is centralized, is well placed over there. He capture, you capture back with the pawn. You know the knight cannot come forward because your pieces are attacking those forward squares. So, he goes back and then you go with your pawn to h4. We have not castle because we want our rook to be on the h file to give an attack along this diagonal. The knight is also not here, so the square is not protected. Okay, here he definitely cannot capture with the bishop. You know why? Because the queen goes on the h5 square. That there's attack on h7 over here, and the bishop is also lost because you're attacking it twice. So he cannot do that. What else can he do? He can still move his queen to c7. Right? If he moves his queen to c7, you can go bishop h7, do a Greek gift sacrifice. So if in case you have missed the video on the Greek gift sacrifice, I have already recorded a video. The link is in the description box. Do check it. How this Greek gift sacrifice can be useful in various openings. Now we have seen that in the Royal Pace. This is also helpful in the London system. So you can definitely go and check that Greek gift sacrifice. It is a very important tactical idea. So capture on the h7 square. Now you can go with your queen to h5, give a check. The king goes back and you can take advantage. Now you just want your knight to go on the g5 square. So slow but steady, bring your knight on the f3 square. Now if he tries to defend this by playing his pawn to f6, that doesn't stop us from going the knight to g5 square because now you go, this is a threat, right? So he'll have to capture the knight and you capture it with the pawn. Creates a battery on the h file and there's no good way that black can defend this position. He tries to prolong it for a little long by capturing the free bishop over here, but that results to a check. Now you bring the king in the open and give a beautiful checkmate by playing your queen to h5. That's a beautiful checkmate there, right? Okay, so these were 3 amazing traps in the main line. You see, black has done nothing wrong. He was just playing pawn to b6, a normal move, a main line, rook e8, main line, bishop e7, main line. But how you can take advantage in the main line as well in this London system. Stay tuned. I'm going to record few more videos on the London system, that how you can defend from the black side in the London system against the London system. If your opponent is white and you need to defend this positions from the black side, then how you can do it. So I'll see you guys again in the next video. Till the time, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel and share with your friends. Thank you.